Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the wild, weird, and wacky world of chickens. Well, now all of a sudden they're quiet. Yeah, a second ago they were just doing that stuff. Yeah, and doing that too. Okay, no. The wild, weird, and wacky world of the Word. You might recall that earlier in the week I mentioned that Jeremiah is one tough book to read through because it's not written in chronological order, and it's a big book of the Bible. So how do you navigate through it? Well, the way you navigate through it is you don't. Yeah, you kind of don't. You just start reading and hope you get something out of it. Nah, I don't mean to be kind of flippant about that, but we have to recall that the prophet himself was in operation for like 40 some years. And you're in this time frame in which Judah is just falling apart, and eventually it gets wiped out by the Babylonians, and people are carried off into captivity, this, that, and the other. It's kind of a tough thing to get through. So how do we? Well, what scholars do is they sit down, and you realize that a lot of the dating of these different books is dated by who's king at the time. So what do you have? During the time of Jeremiah, you have these different kings. Are you ready? It's actually one king who has 3 sons and a grandson who reign in succession there. Okay, you have Josiah. He's the good king. He instituted a lot of reforms, and things were going pretty well during that period. Then you have Jehoahaz. Unfortunately, he's also called from time to time Shalom. All right? Then you have Jehoiakim, who is also from time to time mentioned as Eliakim. All right, we can handle that. Oh, but wait a minute. Then you have Jehoiachin, who's also known as Coniah and Jeconiah. Okay? And then you end up with Zedekiah at the very end. All right, so you have all these different kings with their different names. So they're mentioned from time to time in these prophecies. So what you can do is, when you have a particular prophecy by Jeremiah, and he mentions one of these particular kings, you put them in their proper order. Now you might think, oh, that's easy to do. No, it's not, because sometimes some of these prophecies don't mention the specific king, and as you look at it, you say, okay, what's happening right about now, here, there? Well, it could go with this one, it can go with that one, and before you know it, you are going absolutely crazy. Let me give you just an example. I have a chart in front of me, and I'm just going to flip through it and tell you how things are going when one particular commentator tried to put it all together, okay? It starts out, you read Jeremiah, you're reading in the first chapter, you're going along, and then you go into the second chapter, and it goes all the way from that through a couple verses in chapter 3, and then chapter 3, a couple verses, a couple more verses, and then a couple verses from chapter 4. Then you jump to chapter 7. Then you jump to just a couple verses in 8 and 9. Then you jump to 16 and 17. Then you go back to chapter 11. Then you hop back up to chapter 17. And do you get the picture? It's like that all the way through the whole thing. And you finally get to the very end, and he puts a little update history in his work, in which people have commented on what he's done, and some other scholars have kind of nitpicked what he's done, and he says, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of rewriting my whole chart, I'm going to make a change here and make a change there, and there's about, I'd say 10 or so changes that he made. It's absolutely crazy. So I just want you to know that as you're reading the prophet Jeremiah, you are not going crazy. Okay? It's just important to know that you are not going crazy. In fact, there's one copy of Jeremiah that we have that was written in Greek, and it's even different than the orders that we have in our English. And why is that? It appears that this scribe really did his best to put it into chronological order according to when those kings came. And there's some things that line up pretty good with what a lot of the scholars have now, but there's things that don't either. It just makes it pretty difficult to navigate through if you're just reading from start to finish. Unfortunately, I went and looked through a lot of the internet, because everything on the internet's true, right? No, I was trying to find some place where someone may have actually written it out in the chronological order that they feel it goes, other than just writing out, okay, Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 6 through 12, and then Jeremiah chapter 3 verse. No, actually put it all in order, the whole book, not just the verse references, and I couldn't find it. I think it would be pretty cool if someone did do that at some point, and maybe it's out there and I just haven't found it, because it would kind of help us understand what was really going on in that very turbulent time. And it also helps us to understand the verses that we often get in our Revised Common Lectionary to read, because a lot of Jeremiah is downright, oh man, it's awful, horrible stuff. Just condemnation by Yahweh on what the people have done. But there's also a lot of tears being flowed by Jeremiah, because these are his people and he loves them, and he can't bear to see this happening, and they won't return to the Lord. And then you have all these words of hope. They're kind of sprinkled here and there and everywhere. It does help you to understand why all that is happening the way it is. So just hang in there as you work on your way through Jeremiah, if that's something you would like to do, because there is a lot of good stuff, and there are things in there that are words of God that are relevant for you and for me even today. Well, God's blessings be with you. It started out as a really cool morning here. Now it's mid-morning. I'm a little late in getting this out, but hey, that's the way it is. And it's going to be raining later today. It's fall. That's what happens during the fall. God's blessings be with you, and enjoy your day.